in our other videos, we've discussed setting a morph target, and we've discussed the morph brush and how we can use it with DMFX to create new surface texture modeling. The next tool that is a go-to tool is layers. To set a layer, we come down to layers, and before I do any of this kind of work, I always set a fresh morph target. So morph target first, now we go to layers. Press the plus sign and it creates a layer, and it's got this little button that says record. And I'm just going to call that morph. So the morph is my safety layer, my base layer. So I'm going to press again, and I'm just going to call that sculpt. Okay, so we've got two layers. The morph is kind of my safety layer, more on that later. So we've got a sculpt layer. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drag out some cheekbones here, and I'm pressing Alt, which is going to give us this kind of sucked in zombie look. So we've created that. I'm going to take it out of symmetry mode. I'm going to put a couple of wounds in. Okay, so very quickly we have put in some kind of modeling with the VDM brushes. So I'm just going to go in and work a little bit with this morph brush. So just bear with me a moment, and I'm just going to get it to something which I find a little bit more appealing. Just going to go in with the scar brush. I'm just going to use the standard brush, and I'm just going to associate a I always put this in sub, this adds, this detracts, add, z add, z sub under. And so I'm just going to a few kind of like tracks of sort of desiccating skin. It's just a general modeling very quickly, just to give us something that says, you know, undead, wandering around for a month or two, not looking so hot. Right, and then we'll just go here and just do a little bit more. Okay. Taking the intensity down, draw size, and we'll come to the the other aspects of these brushes in a while, but I'm going to leave that fairly soon, as they say at that. Okay, so we've just modeled in some detail and we've got something going here very quickly. Okay, right. We have some modeling here. We're in record mode. So now I can add a new layer and we can sculpt on this new layer. But what I'm going to do first is I'm just going to switch off the record mode. I'm going to demo the features. So we can drag the layer positive to negative, which is fairly self-explanatory. So concave, convex, so we're seeing the modeling miraculously appear. Now we have a subdivision level, which is 5. We can take this down if we're doing very broad modeling. What happens to the layers? Well, the layers are still functioning and they're still there. So that proves something. So we still have the layers intact. But here's the thing. We look at that and we go, oh, well, I want to block out with the clay brush. And we press X and say, well, I'm going to actually cut into this model now. So press the S key to make the draw size. I hit Alt, which inverts the stroke on the fly, but we'll come to these tools later. So I just hit it and they go to, oh, so this happens. So the layer now is ineffective because, like morph targets, layers are associated with subdivision levels and they are akin to a morph target. So let's go to the geometry and get it back to the highest subdivision level. Now again, oh, what's happening? Record, you know, this must activate layer recording mode and try again. To get a layer to work, its function is that a new layer, or the particular layer that you want to sculpt or model on, must be in record mode for you then to be able to go in with your tool and start working. So that's just a constraint of the layer. Though they're very flexible, you must have it in record mode. But here's something we can do. You could switch off the layers. This layer has no modeling associated with it. So now that I'm just going to quickly model something, and I really am going to make it quick. So we're just adding a little form to the cheekbones here, and we're going to take in, I'm going to switch off RGB because I don't want color value associated with the modeling. So we've just kind of put in these very kind of severe cheekbones, and I'm just going to smooth that off a little, and that's that. Okay, so you know, we've added these cheekbones, and that's kind of like, well, so what? But now if I take this out of record mode, you can combine these two layers. So the modeling from one layer can influence another layer and in itself be dialed up or dialed down. I'll just go further again. So when we have a layer, we can have modeling associated with that layer and then dial each layer independently up or down. So when it comes to DMFX, so let's just create a new layer. So the beauty of this is, with morph targets, the morph brush, let's go to this, and it's just got to load, and let's just take it out of symmetry and drag out a wound and just quickly put something in. Got some sort of horrid wound on the face, and we're going to go to our trusty morph target brush. And what we're going to do is we're going to, because we're in record mode, we can work into this, and we're going to change the intent of this modeling and get something that's still horrible but is more subtle. You know, we can go in and create what we want, how we want. And now when it comes to art department directors, you have the ability to say, well, we have this design, and they go, well, you know, it's kind of like that, but, and we have this design, and we can put them together. They go, well, actually I do like that scar, but can we tone down this level, or can we tone down a particular area? So we can switch off this layer and then use the morph brush and say, well, actually we want less of, I'm just going to put this into record mode. So they say to us, well, we actually want less of this. On this area, take it down with the art department, the art director, with the director, whoever, and then we can say, right, let's see the other wound popping through now, and you kind of like can dial it up and down and mix and match. So that's the power of layers, is that they can work together. I mean, you can do things like you can take a layer and you could put this into record mode. You could use a tool like surface noise. Right, so what we have here, some of the alphas are tileable. I'm going to frame that up. I'm going to zoom in, at least attempt to. And this is kind of takes a bit of tweaking to get the sweet spot. Okay, I can see it starting to come. There we have it. There it is. Now we have it. Saw it here, didn't see it here. Okay, so you could make a tileable sort of texture over the surface of a character. I mean, because of the way that the UVs are set up, because we're using UDIMs, but you could actually use the DMFX to create overall skin textures on a layer and then bake them in. But that's not 100% successful demo, but that's the idea. I'd have to do it on a different head. Layers are really cool, and you can get a lot of mileage out of creating lots of different looks with layers. And you know, the other thing about layers is, depending on how high a subdivision level, you could export this as a set of what are known as displacement maps, and these could be set out to another package, Blender, Maya, doesn't really matter. And what could happen is these displacement maps could drive a surface of this model, and so you could literally have an effect where this kind of, they were aging in camera and this is tracked on, that kind of idea, and you have like this appear like they were going through some aging process on screen. And you know, you just, in terms of look development, you can just get a lot of mileage out of the different kind of looks you can get, and these have all been done with the VDMs, and they've been done quite quickly.